Hi, welcome back to the channel. I'm Michelle, and today I'm going to talk about my homeschool schedule. In a recent video I put up about our homeschool update, I did a mid-year homeschool update for my first grader, fourth grader, and our group subjects. And one of the comments in one of the videos was a request to make a video on our schedule and how I get all the things done with 3 kids and all the things we cover. So this video is going to be all about our homeschool schedule. For the video, I'm going to put up a picture of kind of a graphic of our homeschool schedule because I find that really helpful when people are talking about their schedules to have something to reference to. So I'm going to go over our schedule real quick, and then I'm going to kind of walk you through some of the lessons. One of the comments was, it seems like I use a lot of teacher intensive work. How do I make time for it? To me, I don't feel like I use a lot of teacher intensive stuff. I know it so well that I can get through it really quickly, but I want to show you kind of what it looks like. If you want to see a day in the life, I do have a more recent one I did in December that shows kind of how we flow through all this. If you want to see an actual, this is what we do, there are times in that as well that show, how precise things go. So the homeschool schedule, which I will put up here, I also printed a copy for myself to reference. So my kids get up around 7 a.m. So I get up somewhere between 6 and 6:30, and I will get up, I will make breakfast. Kids will slowly make their way downstairs, some early, some later, but everyone's definitely awake by 7:30. Everyone's had breakfast. After breakfast, the kids do their normal things, brush hair, teeth, get dressed, all that. You'll notice on our schedule, we don't actually start homeschool until 10 a.m. And this kind of came out of the fact that my youngest, who's now 3, used to nap earlier in the mornings. So in order to get our core work done, we would start later. So he would be napping during our core work. Well, his schedule has changed, as they do. He still takes about an hour and a half nap, or maybe sometimes 2 if I'm lucky, every single day. Well, at least Monday through Friday. The weekend's a little different. But he's moved that nap much later in the day. So technically, we could probably start earlier in the day, but I find starting at that 10 a.m. time gives people to do everything they want. The kids get free time, I get my chores done. It just works and flows better if we keep at that 10 a.m. start time. So from 8 to 10, my kids have free time. They play, they do what they want. They do take care of their hair, teeth, and all that before 10 a.m. obviously. But what I will do during that time is, of course, I'll clean up breakfast. I'll make lunches because I make lunches for the kids. I have a bunch of lunch videos on my channel if you want to check those out. But I find it saves me time later in the day instead of trying to stop in the middle of lunch and get everybody's lunches ready. 3 kids, me, it's just easier to have everything prepared in the morning. That way people can just grab it. And like I've said before, sometimes my kids finish at different times and are ready for lunch before the other is, so they can just grab it when they're ready. So I will make lunch. I will always start a load of laundry in the morning. That way it's done in the afternoon for my kids to fold and put away. I will take care of any chores I have. I do have a video up here about how I handle my chores. I also have a video on how I handle the kids' chores, but this is mainly my time to get the things done that I need to get done. So laundry goes in, whatever chore I'm focusing on, whether that be watering the plants or washing the blankets or cleaning the bathrooms, whatever it is. That's the chunk of time I use to get that done. Of course, eat my breakfast and all those things too. So core work starts at 10 a.m. And one of the questions I get is, what are your other kids doing when your one kid is doing this? They're all working on something usually. So at 10 a.m. we start our homeschool day. So 3-year-old is up first. What does he do? So he does enjoy participating with us and feeling like he is doing school too. So I'll say, do you want to do school? And he'll say yes, and he'll run and he'll grab this. This is something I picked up for him for Christmas. It's just a busy book. So it's got the little Velcro guys where you can, match them. It's got seasons, colors, all the normal things you would expect. But the nice thing is the other side is all, so one side is the sticky and then the other side is all the traceable things. So he has a little bag with erasable dry erase markers, and he'll do that for a good 20 minutes. He might spend about 10 minutes coloring next to us in a notebook or a coloring book, whatever he chooses. But he'll do, a solid 30 minutes sitting down, playing with something. So what he will do after that is, if he starts to get a little crazy and it's not quite time for lunch, he does have 30 minutes screen time. So this is an Amazon Fire tablet. It's got the protector thing on it. So he will watch a show, he'll play some, little age-appropriate games on there, and that will keep him occupied during the time I'm doing core work with my older two kids. I have a 10-year-old and a 6-year-old. So let's start with my 6-year-old. So my 6-year-old will start her core work. She will start doing her writing, and for writing practice, I do the Core Knowledge Skills Unit from kindergarten, completely free online. You can print it. So she'll just practice her writing, and this does have some phonics in it as well. She will get that out and start doing that. And when she is doing that is usually when I will start the math lesson with my 10-year-old. She's doing dimensions, Singapore dimensions. She's on 3A. So usually she only needs my help in the textbook. She does not need my help when she's doing a workbook lesson. One day we'll do a textbook lesson. The next day she'll do the workbook lesson independently. And that's just how we've always done it. So we'll do that. I will do her math lesson while my oldest is doing her writing lesson with my oldest, or I will do the math lesson with my oldest while my youngest daughter's doing her writing. If she finishes writing before I'm done with the math lesson, then she can color. She usually makes pictures and things like that, and that's fine. So after I do math with my 10-year-old, I will go back to work with my 6-year-old, because my 10-year-old can do a lot of independent work after that, and I'll show you that in a minute. So my 6-year-old's core work is her Singapore Dimensions Math 1A, so we will go through it. It's usually just a couple pages. It really doesn't take that long, and I'll show you kind of when I flip through those. So we will do that, and then the only other core work she has before lunch is all about reading. We're working through level 2, and she's actually doing fantastic with this. We are actually progressing a lot quicker than we did with level 1. So again, that will probably take like 15-20 minutes. Everything's already pre-organized. I was lucky enough that one of our moms in our co-op is letting me use this, so I didn't have to organize anything, which is the great thing, because if you've ever organized all about reading, it takes forever. So she and I will do that 15-20 minutes, and while we're doing math and language arts, my 10-year-old is kind of tackling her independent subjects, which I will show you what those are. So we've already talked about how she did Dimensions 3A. She does math fact practice, and this is just a bunch of multiplication and division facts pulled out from an old workbook, and these are the ones that she has left. So she'll do one of these pages again a day independently. I'll check it over. So that's what math facts is. For vocab, she will switch. 1 week she will do Sadler vocab, 1 week she'll do word ladders, and these are all she knows what to do. I label them when I do my prep work on Sunday. This I don't label, she just flips to the next page. But this one I will label Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, what page she's supposed to do. She will do that independently. And then my oldest 10-year-old does have some rotating things. So for example, Mondays she does health, and I've talked about this. She does hardcore health. She reads the couple pages of chapter, we discuss it, we talk about it. That's it. Tuesday, she will do her typing. She does 2 typing lessons. And I will link the website I use down below. It's completely free. And then if I'm still not done with my 6-year-old, she will do math playground, a couple educational math games. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, she will also do Michael Clay Thompson. Sometimes she'll do this before lunch. Sometimes she'll do it after, depending on how much work she had with math and how long that takes. So what she does for that is very simple. She just does a page of sentence analysis, and then we read a couple pages out of Sentence Island, and that's it. So probably, again, like 15 minutes. So that takes us through the morning. 11 a.m. is around lunchtime. So my 3-year-old will sit down, 6-year-old will sit down, 10-year-old will sit down, not necessarily at the exact same time, depending on when they finish, but they'll sit down and they'll have lunch. But that takes us through morning. So what happens after lunch? So after lunch, and they don't really take that long to eat. I was trying to figure out what time I should put for their lunchtime. They probably finish, I will say, by 11:30, at least by 11:45, definitely. So my 3-year-old will go down for his hour and a half, maybe 2-hour nap at this point. which gives us the earlier afternoon to work on core work together. So group work together. So first we have to finish core work. So my 6-year-old's core work that she works on is core knowledge, language arts, grade 1. And what I do with that teacher guide is on my Samsung tablet. I use the same Fire tablet that my 3-year-old was using earlier, and the student readers and things she looks at, the cards, the image cards are on here, so she'll flip through that. And again, this will probably take 20-25 minutes for her lesson. We can usually get through 1, maybe 1.5 lessons of that. It's really easy with core knowledge to stop and go in different things. So what will my 10-year-old be doing while I'm doing that with my 6-year-old? My 10-year-old will be doing her language arts, and she is doing Lightning Lit grade 4, like I've talked about before. So she'll read. Right now she's about assigned 2 chapters a day, which again probably takes her less than 10 minutes to get through. She's a pretty avid reader, so this is pretty quick. She will then go over to the Lightning Lit student book, and she can do a lot of this independently, so she will do that. I'll show you how that works. And then she'll do that independently, and then I will talk to her about her writing assignment, because I do have a video on here how I kind of weaved in what we learned in IEW to help with the writing aspect of Lightning Lit, and she will do her writing. Now my 6-year-old will usually finish the rest of her language arts in about 30 minutes. My 10-year-old will probably take more, about 45 minutes, but that's reading, doing her grammar lesson, and working on her writing. So 12:30, that is usually when group work starts. So group work rotates. We do Torchlight level 3, and a lot of our things come from Torchlight, but we do things outside of that. So Mondays, our schedule is a little different because we have story time at the library, and there's a craft and all that. So that's from 10 to 10:45, so we're usually home by 11. The only thing that changes with our schedule is everything's bumped back probably by an hour. Monday and Wednesday we do Curiosity Chronicles, and all we do for this is we listen to the audiobook. The audiobook chapters are about, I'd say, 12 to 13 minutes long. We will go over the discussion questions. Some are comprehension, some are just what do you think, what would you do in this situation, kind of deeper thinking questions. And then we will have one activity usually scheduled to go with the chapter, because we do Curiosity Chronicles Monday and Wednesday. So we will do an activity either Monday or Wednesday, and that comes from the student guide, I believe, of what activity we'll do. But again, this is all pre-planned. I'm not just opening the book for the first time on Monday. Okay, what are we doing today? When I do my Sabbath schedule, the 6 weeks on, 1 week off, that week off, all this is prepped. So it's literally open and go for me at this point. That's why I think it's not so teacher intensive, is because I've already done the pre-planning, which is what a lot of teachers do in private and public school settings, is they lesson plan. So I lesson plan everything for the next 6 weeks so I can just pick up and go. And that's why I think our day flows so smoothly. So we'll do that. Tuesdays we have art. And all we do for that is a mixture of hardcore art and a paint lab book. This goes over techniques as well, but more artists. It goes over specific artists in here, different like color wheel, different basic art things you should know. So we go through that. Friday we have core knowledge science, and again, I've already printed everything I need to, and it's in this folder, and as you can see here, I've already pre-planned all of our lessons in that 1 week off. I have everything's planned for the next 6 weeks. So I know exactly what we're doing, so I can just open it up and go. If we didn't do paint lab on Tuesdays, we will do it on Fridays, but normally it's been Tuesdays is kind of the full art day. Friday is a easier day on us because my 10-year-old doesn't have lightning literature. It's a 4-day program. So that takes a big chunk. That later afternoon, we finish a lot earlier. She doesn't have math facts or Michael Clay Thompson on Friday. So her workload is less on Friday, so we can add a little bit more. So we do art and science, and then we have our co-op at 2 o'clock. So we finish probably an hour before co-op is about to start. And we do, with the Torchlight schedule, rotate things through. Like I've talked before, We rotate reading a couple pages of this. We rotate reading a couple pages of this. There are sometimes specific innovator things we're doing, like building things or creating things or designing things through this. And this is all laid out through Torchlight. I think it's done in a very easy way. I don't use everything Torchlight does. I don't use their science. I don't do their editing. There are sometimes suggested books I don't use. Like, you can take what you want with Torchlight and make it what you want it to be. So that is a kind of brief how our school days. At 2 o'clock, we were definitely finished by school. I don't think we've ever gone past 2. At that time, my kids will clean up their rooms, fold that load of laundry that's already made it through the washer and dryer and all that, and put it away. That is one of their jobs every day. They'll take care of any chores that they have. In my chore thing, they get 2 main chores that they're responsible for in the house, and those have to be done by Friday. So they can choose to do it then, or they can choose to do it in the morning. They have the freedom of when those specific chores are going to be done. And then they have free time until we do read aloud. We do read aloud after dinner, so we usually start at around 7, and it'll take about 20 minutes. I don't think we've ever gone past that. But I find moving read aloud to later in the day is more helpful, that it doesn't take that big chunk of time away, especially with my youngest napping, that it's just easier to do read aloud later, and it's something that everybody can be a part of. So now what I'm going to do, you could totally stop watching the video now. I've showed you my schedule, I've shown you what we did, but I'm going to show you a quick overview of kind of what those things look like. All right, so we're going to start here. You obviously seen my 3-year-old's busy book, so my 6-year-old core work. So, like I said before, she will pick one of these to do while I'm working with my oldest on her math. So my oldest math, super quick. So I have it labeled, as you can see here, Tuesday. So that means we're starting with a workbook lesson on Monday. So she won't even need my help on Monday. She'll be able to do this. Of course, if she has questions or something, she can come to me. But she does this page, this page, this page, and this page. So I can definitely get a lot done with my 6-year-old while she's doing that. I will then go over to my 6-year-old and do math with her. So same thing, except her lessons are shorter. So she's going to start with a lesson on Tuesday 2, because that's just the way it starts. 1, 2 pages, that's it. Monday, here, and that's another page. So, and then Tuesday, the following day will be the lesson. Tuesday is this. This I do not find teacher intensive. I think it explains really well in core knowledge, in Dimensions, how to teach this, and these are not very complicated concepts at this age. 10-year-old is still most likely working through her math by this point, which my 6-year-old will start all about reading again. So I'll show you kind of what we did last week. So we go over, again, I've used all about reading, so I'm very familiar with the layout. We went over the different letter sounds of Y. We did an activity with it, and we did our cards. And then the next day we did a fluency sheet and read a book. And that's how quick the lesson goes. I do not expect her to go through the entire lesson 4. I think she's capable at this point, but I like going slower with this because it is a harder concept for her to go through. So again, this is like 20, maybe 25 minutes at max. So while she is working on that, what is my 10-year-old doing? She is doing her math fact sheet, whatever one she has picked out for herself. She is doing one of her vocab. She's either doing a page of word ladders, or she's doing whatever signed page she has from Sadler. So for example, Monday, she's reading this story. Sometimes it's fiction, sometimes it's nonfiction, but you can obviously see the words bolded here for her. These are her definitions. So for Monday, she will read this. This will be Tuesday, and so on and so on. Wednesday, Thursday. So she's completely capable of doing that independently. And then some of her rotating. This is health, so this will be her health lesson for Monday. She will go through reading this And then we will just discuss what she read. I take some of the questions from here, or I'll look through the book, and we'll just discuss what she has gone over. So that takes us into Michael Clay Thompson, and I've shown you this many times. This is just not complicated at all. It's very quick and easy. So she will do her sentence analysis. I think I have here's an example for doing her sentence analysis. So noun, verb, adjective, conjunction, preposition, all that. She labels what these are. She labels the subject, predicate, this is an action verb predicate, and if it's an indirect or direct object, prepositional phrase, and if it's a simple or compound sentence. So that's pretty easy for her to do, and she does this independently. And then we will just read a couple pages out of MUD. You can see we are that far out of Sentence Island. And because she's gone through IEW, these concepts aren't very, shocking to her. We just recently went over how your verb or your subject and your verb have to match. So we read, I think, 3 or 4 pages last week. So we were going to do some of the example practice lessons to see, how action verbs and direct objects work together. And we'll just work through this. So we'll probably do this, and then the next day we'll do this and this practice. But most of the time it's usually just reading a couple pages, 3, 4, sometimes 5 pages out of here. And it's got the teacher notes here. This is the teacher copy. And that's it. So it's not overly complicated. Again, 15, 20 minutes. So we will break for lunch, come back. My 3-year-old is sleeping. And again, my 3-year-old is doing his tablet time. He's using his busy book during this chunk of time. So he's not really that destructive as of now, knock on wood. So what do we do after lunch? My 3-year-old is sleeping. We do core knowledge. So while I'm doing core knowledge first grade with my 6-year-old, my 10-year-old will come over here and do her work. She will read, for example, she'll read her 2 chapters here. So this will be the amount of reading she will do, which is completely easy for her. Like I said, within 10 minutes, she will come over here. These are comprehension questions. She will answer these, and then we will have a grammar lesson. Now, this is for this coming week. I have a feeling she will need my help with this. We did go over this with Michael Clay Thompson, but I think she'll need my help. So we will read this together. I will usually go over a couple of the problems with her, and then she'll do the rest independently. So for this one, you are just taking independent clauses and making them compound sentences. And then that's it. That's what she does for that. And this is the next day. So for writing, the writing assignment, she's currently working through fantasy or fable, as you can see here. So she's just finished her rough draft last week. So she's working on corrections, and that will be all she has to do. So she will probably finish her writing Tuesday and then not have it Wednesday or Thursday because she'll be done. Again, we incorporate INW. Check out that video if you want to see how. But that is the rest of their language arts, and then over to group work. So like I said, Monday and Wednesday, we will do a Curiosity Chronicles lesson. So this shows you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's it. 7 pages, about 12 minutes, audiobook. There's a culture corner included. Sometimes we'll do this on Monday, sometimes we'll do it on Wednesday, depending on how time is going. And then if we have an activity for that day, then we'll do it for an activity. But I will actually pull out the Torchlight schedule and give you an idea of what it looks like. All right, so this is a typical Torchlight schedule. Now, as you can see here, I've already gone through. I did that with that week off. And lesson plan for what I'm going to do. Obviously, I don't do the editing. I don't do the history. I don't do the handcraft thing that they suggest for this. There are things on here I don't do, already crossed off. And then I've added some of the things. These things in pink are the different activities we're going to do, and this is the art we're going to do. So this is our read aloud, which again, we don't do until 7 o'clock. This is Curiosity Chronicles. And again, this is all printed out. I bought the digital copy, so it's all already printed and ready to go. So all I do for this is we read we listen to the chapter, go over these comprehension questions, what do you think questions, and then we will do the activity. This activity this week is the card game, the capitalism card game, but you can see we're not doing that till Wednesday. So that's all I would have to do. We would listen to the chapter, go over the questions, and that's it for history that day. And then for this, it is fantastic failures, so we would read 192. We'd read these couple pages. So that's it. And that would be our group work on Monday. So that is actually pretty quick. Tuesday, this is Shakespeare. Again, we stopped memorizing it, and we don't have a new Shakespeare play, so this is just going over this previous one we did. So I'm not even going to do that this week because we've already gone through the play already. So we have A Child Through Time, which is just a quick one-page book. We have our art, which we're going to be doing this. We're talking about the color wheel. So I have this, which goes over the explanation of the color wheel, which is really quick, and warm and cold colors. And then we're going to actually take that information and use it when we do the paint lab, which is over here, but we actually do art on Tuesday, and we're going to make a stained glass picture using this and using what we learned about the art wheel. So the other activity we're doing for that, we're going to create our own globe out of balloon and paper mache. And again, this is all included in Torchlight. It's telling us when to do it, so that's when we're going to do it. It's so easy to move different things on the schedule. If it doesn't fit there, like Paint Lab doesn't fit there sometimes, so we bring it over here. Make it what you want it to be. So that is what we're doing there. You can see we don't do the science, we don't do the handcraft, and then we're going to do that stained art glass activity. And you can see here there's a YouTube link, because Torchlight does give you options for extensions, books, things like that. So I will go through and pick which one we want to do, but that week we have off and I do my lesson planning. Later in the day, we will do our read aloud. Wednesday, same thing. Later in the day, we do our read aloud. We don't do this, don't do this. We do our history. We do our game that goes with it. That's all for Wednesday. Thursday, we do our read aloud. We have a fortune teller exercise, which is just a review exercise. So this is all pre-printed for both chapters and organized, and everything's in the way it's supposed to be. So the coloring pages where they're supposed to be, that is where they're supposed to be. So we have a TED Ed video, which again is there, and it's already linked on my YouTube channel, so that's already a playlist set to go. When on Earth, again, just a page book when we talk about what was happening during that period of time. Toys, which will bring in this book, which is only a couple pages, 68 to 72. So we're going to be learning about the history of toy soldiers and how they came into being. And that's it. I really do like this part on the end where it kind of tells you little facts about them too. And that will be toys, and that's Thursday. Friday, again, we will be doing, it looks like, historical notes, so we're not actually doing a reading, so we probably finish the book here. So we'll finish the activities that go with that. We will do the paint lab if we didn't do it over there. So this was the read aloud we'd be doing this coming week, so we're going to finish this in a week. It does have some little activities to go with it, like you have to solve some mysteries in it. So we'll be going over the historical notes on Friday, which is pretty quick. And then the only other thing we will have is the Eat Your U.S. History homework, which is this. So we are going to be making ice cream. This ties in with the history we are learning in Curiosity Chronicles. So we're going to read about kind of the history of this, and then we're going to make little ice cream bags, homemade ice cream, on Friday. And it kind of goes into the information on that. So the only thing left on Fridays then is science. And again, this is our lesson plan. We are currently on weather and climate. Everything is laid out for me to do. Last week we did a Generation Genus video. We read the Chapter 5 reader, and we talked about glacial erratic, or rocks that move with glaciers. So we will do lesson 9, day 1, and day 2 this week, as you can see here. So we're going to be doing some of the activity sheets in here. And I think we're looking at specific weather data, if I remember correctly. Yes, we're going to be looking at different weather data and how to analyze that. So I hope that is helpful. That's kind of how our schedule works, how we go through everything, how it flows. And this does change. The schedule is not permanent. Like I said before, 3 months ago, it was different when my 3-year-old was napping at a different time. But like I said, now he's awake during our core subject, and then he's sleeping during language arts and group work. So being able to move and flow with it and realize that all this isn't written in stone. It can always be pushed to another day or moved around the schedule. But I think what works so well is that I have that pre-planning time. If I was trying to get everything ready for the week on a Sunday, I don't think, especially since I have to print things for core knowledge, I have to print things for Curiosity Chronicles, it would be too time consuming. So having that week off makes it easier because I can take 1 or 2 days and get everything printed, put my lesson plans together. So when we have that 6 weeks of school that's on, all I have to do is open something up and get it done. So there's no wasted time. Everybody knows what they're doing. I know what I'm doing. Everything's planned. And I know some people aren't planners, and I totally get that. But for me personally, it just makes things run so much smoother. So if you have any questions, leave them down below. If not, thank you for watching.